Alright. Being a housewife, um, in today's terms, in my opinion, is not acceptable. Right? A lot of women claim that, that they should have the right to be a housewife if they want to, yada yada yada. But y'all forgetting what a housewife entails, right? I took a class when I was doing my undergrad, and the professor did a calculation in terms of what a housewife did. I think it was I forgot the time era, but it was it was before we had um, uh, vacuum cleaners. We had all these chemical products, the Windex, and all these other shit, right? That make cleaning easier. Before we had um, grocery stores where we can buy pretty much everything ready made, right? People don't even have to make a sandwich anymore. Everything's ready made. Like, there's really nothing that you have to make, right? If you're really determined. If I'm determined not to own a pot or a pan, I can still eat well every day simply because everything is already, made for me. But anyways, he calculated, you know, what a housewife did, a salary, a true housewife. And she said that they would make anywhere between 40 and 70,000 a year, depending on the amount of kids that were in the family. And if you calculate wage labor and overtime, and you calculate in holidays, the influx in that. Because being a housewife is not a 9 to 5. It's typically a 24-hour a day thing. So they were actually working. I cringe when I hear women today, bitching about the possibility of being a housewife because y'all don't do shit. Right? I work in education. I've seen the housewives who think they can homeschool their kids, and their kids end up being, 2 or 3 years behind. Because they're lazy with teaching their kids, and they don't know how to teach themselves. Right? You can't teach your kids something, you can't teach them information that you don't know yourself. So I've seen kids struggle just to graduate from high school simply because they spent 2 to 3 years homeschooled by a mother who didn't really know much. Now, and that's, gets into schooling, right? A lot of housewives before, right, I guess before, this whole modern age, a lot of homeschooling was going on. So they were teachers. That was part of the role. Now your kids go to school anywhere from 7 to 3:30. Right? A big part of being a housewife was cooking. If you wanted a loaf of bread, you had to bake that shit from scratch. You didn't go to the store and buy your bread and put it in a cart. You didn't do that. You had to bake it from scratch. So literally, making dinner or making lunch or making breakfast took a lot of work. Literally, it took all day because you had to make everything from scratch. Down from the meat, cutting the meat up, it wasn't nice and neatly packaged for you. Cleaning the house. Like I said, we didn't have all these Swiffers and all these convenient household products, the scrubbing bubbles and all that other shit that virtually, cleans your house for yourself. We didn't have that. So women were putting in work. But modern housewives don't do shit, and excuse me for being ignorant, but I'm around this shit. Especially where I grew up. You had the fucking wives whose husbands made a lot, and they had a lot of ego, so they were you don't have to work, honey. Regardless if they had a degree or not, and they just sit at home all day. Right? They may clean, and they have enough disposable income, but they fucking have a cleaning lady that comes in and cleans. And even if you don't have that, at most, you're passing a vacuum cleaner around, you can vacuum a whole house in under 30 minutes. Right? You clean the kitchen maybe, at most, maybe twice a week. It's overkill to clean your kitchen from top to bottom every day. clean the bathroom maybe, anywhere from 3 to 4 times a week. It's not labor intensive, right? If you want to be lazy and sit on your ass, then call it that, right? But to say, oh, I want to be a housewife, it's a shot to the women who really do this shit. I'm not saying, true housewives don't exist, but talk to a woman who's really a housewife, who's actually really doing the things that I talked about, who's really, doing the work that somebody who should be making a $40,000 to $70,000 a year is doing, because there's actually work implied. I love how sometimes women feel like, we can sit back and pop out babies and the husband's supposed to take care of all the bills and all that shit because that's how they did it in the olden days. Y'all were working. But with the advancement in technology, y'all don't have to do that. But the cost of living went up, so now you guys have to work. Now, if you're lucky enough and fortunate enough to where you don't have to do that, then that's fine, but call it what it is. You don't want to work and you want to sit at home and chill all day because that's what you're doing. Don't feed me the bullshit of raising kids. Yes, you have them anywhere between, when they're born to maybe, preschool, but when they're off to kindergarten and in the public education system, they're off your hands from 7 to 3. I'm not even factoring in if the kids do extracurricular activities, play sports, do band, do all that other shit. So, yeah, and I think I was kind of angry in this one, but, this topic really, gets my juices flowing. Right? A housewife is a real occupation. So if you're going to want to desire to be one, be prepared to do all that shit. But you can't because, modern life has provided us with resources that, in the past, took forever to obtain. I mean, ask yourself, have you ever tried to bake a loaf of bread like the shit that you buy in the store and cut it up nice and neat? No. Even if you have a bread maker, that shit still comes out sloppy. So we can't do that shit. Have you ever tried to cut a chicken apart, right, just to get the legs and the thighs and all the other stuff? No, you buy that shit pre-packaged. So investigate what a housewife does before you want to, classify yourself or feel like you're deserving to be a housewife, as if it's a rite of passage or, it's something that all women should have, because the housewives actually work. They actually did shit.